Hello, everyone. You're listening to Unlocking Greatness podcast with Zenja Glass. Feel free to call me Z. Today's topic is going to be, it is going to cost you something. It's going to cost you something. There's a cost to pay. And here's where I'm going with this. I don't know anyone who has achieved anything great, or anyone, let me put it like this, that I highly respect. Whether it's some business person or famous person or influencer or whoever, who hasn't been through anything. There's a cost to pay for every level that you're trying to get to. And I think for some of us, we've already paid that cost, and it's time to start reaping the rewards and the benefits from it. I am convinced that there is nothing that we have been through in life that in some way or another can't be used in the future for the benefit of God or for our benefit. I believe all of it some kind of way, as harsh as some things have been, especially, my goodness, in my case, if you've lost a child, I don't think any of the pain is ever truly wasted. I think that there's a cost to pay for every level in everything that we're trying to accomplish. And let me just kind of clarify that a little bit. When I think about whether it's starting a new division or, in this case, writing a book or even this podcast that I'm doing, and I hear people say, Z, I wish I can do this, or I wish I can have a podcast like yours, or I wish I can go off and do this or that. In the back of my mind, I never really say this, but I always say to myself, man, if they only knew the cost. There's a cost to it all. Whatever dream or goal that you're going for in life, there's a cost. Whether it's education, there's a cost to get your degree. You have to spend some time studying. You have to not always be going out with friends and things. There's some nights you're going to have to be studying all night, not to mention the financial cost. If there's a business you want to start, any entrepreneur will tell you this. There's so much time and energy and work that you have to put into it. Most people don't know entrepreneurs in general work probably double, if not triple, what someone would work on a normal 8 to 5. In most cases, I guess I should say. But there's a cost that you have to pay. There's amount of dedication and devotion that you have to put into it. I got a call very early this morning from someone I know, and she said, Z, someone's on social media using all your content as though it's yours. And she said, I was just so mad. I can't believe this person's using your voice and putting it up in their video and using it as their original audio, which happens all the time, by the way. That's another subject. And I smiled a little bit when I saw her message, and I thought to myself, wow, I remember when that first happened with me. When I noticed that some people were using my content or using my videos or using my audios, not showing any credit or anything. And I just remember being a mixture between hurt and mad, like, wow, how could you do that? And then I did a little bit of research on some people that I have high respect for, some influencers and some ministers and some people out there. And when I did that research, I realized, oh my gosh, there are thousands of pages of content on them where people are taking their information or taking their voice or using their video for their own gain, not giving any credit. And I thought, wow, I don't see them chasing all those people around. And it dawned on me, oh, that comes with the territory. That's the cost or the price you have to pay as you go to higher levels. You're going to have imitators. And you're going to have to be okay with having imitators. I'm not even mad, to be quite honest with you. I'm just making a point that that's a cost that you have to pay. You have to pay a cost of people writing and saying bad things about you. The more you do, the more your name gets out there, whatever it is that you're trying to do, there's a cost that has to be paid. It's going to cost you something. Sometimes it's your own privacy, or people writing or saying bad things about you. You guys have seen some of the podcasts I put up when I very first started this, how people were talking about my hair and, referring to me as a monkey or saying, you're not even a minister. You shouldn't even be doing this. And one or two people went online and wrote some negative stuff about me and making up stuff. And I thought, oh my goodness, where's this coming from? And then it dawned on me, oh, there's a cost. There's a cost. Whatever it is that you're doing and you're trying to accomplish in life, know that there's a cost. You're going to have to sacrifice your time. I can almost guarantee you this. I hate saying this, but you're probably going to lose some friends. You're going to realize that maybe even some family members, and I hate to say this, may not be in your corner. You may go through stages of loneliness. Does that make sense? There's a cost to I guess I should have called this There's a Cost to Greatness. Maybe that's the title I should have given this. But there's a cost to when you're doing something to try to accomplish greatness or to be great in your life, if that makes any sense. Whenever, and it hasn't been too often, but whenever I've, spent off and started a new division or you guys know my many stories or got my company off the ground, it's so funny because my staff would be so excited about what we're going to do and this new direction that we're going. And I'm always kind of silent when we're going through some sort of a change or when I'm starting up something new. And it never fails. They always kind of look at me like, Z, you don't seem that happy. Like, what are you thinking? But they don't know, and I say this to them, because in the back of my mind, I know that there's a cost to this next level. That means I've got to, get someone, in human resources or make sure, my human resource rep is trained at this level. I know that there's going to be a greater payroll cost. I know that there's probably more insurance costs. I know that there's more training costs. I know I may have to get more space. I know that I may, I can go on and on. So I think through, wow, yes, this is exciting that we're doing this, but there's just a tremendous cost to all of this. I may have to hire more managers because that's more dedication that's got to be put into staff and training and employee relation issues and you name it. There's a cost behind what it is you're trying to do. So let me encourage you with this because this really isn't about me. This is me just sharing what I'm going through and I'm trying to, breathe some encouragement into your life right now. Some of you are going through those stages of paying the cost right now. And you think something's wrong. You think, why me? Why am I going through all of this? Why is it always one thing after the other? Why of all people did I have to grow up in this situation in poverty or what have you? Why is my marriage like this? Why are my finances this way? Why does my kid seem to be the one to get in some trouble with da-da-da-da-da? Why is my health this way? And some of you are thinking that something's wrong. God forgot about me, or he don't love me, or maybe I'm just not that special, or I'm just not that talented. Everyone else seems to kind of do what they got to do, and I feel like I'm just constantly being held back. My message is for you. Could it be possible you're just, and I say this with kindness, paying the cost at this level for the next level he's about to take you to? Let me explain. It'll make sense in a minute. I've had so many people say to me, Z, wow, I want to start a podcast. I want to do what you're doing. I want to get out there and have an impact on the world. And every time I hear that, and it's a blessing to hear people say that, but deep in my spirit and my heart, what they don't know is I literally hold back tears. I hold back tears when I hear that. Because it may look easy sitting here on camera speaking before people. But if I were to do a behind the scenes, and I actually was thinking about this early this morning, God put that in my heart, so I might do that. If I were to do a behind the scenes thing so you guys can follow me for a little bit, and you see even the preparation I do before I actually go on camera, you'll see me. And when I say preparation, I mean like just a few minutes ago, I was in my other office with my head on my desk, crying, grieving over my son, thinking through things that's happened in my life. I was looking out the window up to the sky, looking to God, asking him to strengthen me, asking him to guide me, asking him to give me something to tell his people from my life, asking him to use this pain, use what I've been through, and how can I help somebody else? Telling him, God, I don't really know what I'm doing with this. I can't speak if you don't give me the words. You don't see the behind the scenes of the pressures that I've been through. And it's not just me, it's you as well. I'm just using me as an example. But there's so much that came along with this to get to this point. This is just sort of the reaping of the benefits from the cost that's paid, if that makes any sense at all. The only way that I'm really able to relate to you is because of all the mess I've been through. You guys think I'm doing a podcast to help you, and really I'm doing the podcast, it's almost like a video diary of just my mess. growing up in poverty, my mom being a single parent, being on welfare almost my entire life, her fleeing the state that we were from, fleeing to another state because she was in an extremely abusive relationship. And there was one night where he came at us, and that you guys will read about some of that in my book. I don't want to go too deep now because I would literally start crying, but just extreme situations that we went through. Extreme situations I went through, even in my marriage. That's the cost that I paid in order to be able to help, I believe at this point, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women from these little Bible studies that I would do on Sunday evenings. I would do these 15-week and these 30-week sessions. All of it's free, by the way, but it was in-person sessions that I did for years, helping women who were going through very difficult, challenging times in their marriage. There was a cost that I had to pay to be, I don't even want to use the word qualified, but to be put in that situation to then turn around and help other people. The only reason I have compassion for children, and the reason I have such a compassion in my heart for helping people who's been through things, especially who's gone through health issues, and especially kids who are victims of human trafficking, because of the mess that I went through. Because of my son that was born with this situation, this blood condition. You get my point? The reason I'm able to have the compassion and empathy now, especially for people that are suffering and going through financial things, even though God has turned my situation around and blessed me to have a company and to hire people and to flourish, I still, in my mind, know and remember all of the times that I grew up and lived in poverty almost my entire life. I saw my mother budget $192 a month. I know what powdered eggs and powdered milk tastes like, and I'm not embarrassed by it. I lived in the projects. We call it projects. I don't want to say that term to be offensive, but that's what we call it. But I lived in the projects almost my whole life until I was in college. I didn't even meet my father until I was in college, and he only lived a few blocks away from me, and I never saw his face my entire life. Cost. All of that is cost. All the ups and downs in business and the financial pressures. That's how I'm able to give financial advice. The little bit I've given so far, and I'm going to do more of that later. It's a cost. Does that make sense? So, that was a lot I just said. I want to just encourage you guys that you're going to reap the rewards and the benefits from everything that you've been through. I believe that wholeheartedly. You may be going through some tough times in life right now. I've had so many nights of tears, I can't even count them anymore. I really can't. From my kids to my marriage to finances to health to family to friends betraying me to just pick a subject. It's not too many things you could mention and say, I wonder if she ever dealt with this, or I wonder if one of her kids ever dealt with this issue. There's not too many things you can throw my way that I can say that didn't happen. I'll just leave it like that because I have to protect the privacy of my family. Been through a lot. And many of you have been through a lot. You paid the cost. So you have a right to speak. You have a right to write that book that you've been thinking about. You have a right to start that business or start that organization. You're strong enough in some cases, and I got to be real careful with this, to leave that company that you're working for and go do what you know you're supposed to be doing at this point. You're going to survive the financial storms you're going through right now. You're going to survive the downfalls in your business and pivot because God has given you creativity to know how to pivot and get that business right where it needs to be. You're going to figure out a way to do what you have to do even with having no money or no support, even from family members, from close family members at that. There's a cost. There's a cost. And the only reason I bring the podcast up as an example, I was thinking through the, I guess it's called the demographics. And it's so weird with this podcast. And I was actually in tears this morning just looking out my window at home saying, God, you're just amazing in how you work. My platform is almost equal across the line, from teens to young adults to people in their 40s, to people in their 50s like me. You guys know I'm in my 50s now, to people 65 and older. Literally, if you look at my demographics, it's almost the same, which is unheard of. How do you reach audiences of these levels? How do you reach audiences where there's people that are Hindu, Muslim, Catholic, Baptist, Lutheran, Pentecostal, Jehovah Witness, some people that not even sure if there's a God or maybe not even believe in God as much, and some people that, shout and praise him every day. Like, it's so amazing that this platform, this community is composed of all of these people from so many different walks of life. How is that possible? And I was talking to God this morning. I was almost in tears. I was like, what are you doing? And God just put in my heart, nothing you've been through has been wasted, Z. Everything that you've been through, you're bringing it all to encourage and uplift and help others. I'm bringing you full circle with all of your life experiences and everything that you've been through. And that relates to everybody. Love is love. And that's why you have such a beautiful community, as God put in my heart, that we're forming. Keep giving your message, keep giving my messages, and keep spreading my word. So I just want to close with this, because I know this podcast may seem a little all over the place today. There's a cost to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. It's going to cost you something no matter what it is. And you have to be okay with that. And I pray that you're encouraged, because the one that paid the ultimate cost for me is Jesus Christ. He paid the ultimate cost for me by what he did on the cross so that my little butt can be saved. He paid the ultimate cost. We all have a cost to pay. Part of me and my cost was with this podcast. I had to get used to my business being exposed all over the doggone internet. And as you guys know, I talk to CEOs and VPs and director of HRs and on a daily basis. Some of you know that I own a staffing agency. So on a daily basis, that's just what I do. And I had to get used to and not be embarrassed by the fact that when they look me up, one of the first things that they see trending is my podcast, and they see me crying on camera about something. It's a cost I had to pay. Have to pay that. That's just a cost that I have to pay. It's going to cost you something, and you got to be okay with it. So I'm going to end with this. I pray that you're encouraged. And if you're going through some rough times right now, I pray you put a little smile on your face and you just say, you know what, it's okay, God. I'm paying the cost right now. Because in what I'm going through, whatever this issue is, you are so going to use this for your good. And I can't wait, God, to see what you are going to do. You could not have told me that when I was, give or take, around 12 years old, fleeing with my mom, and you guys will read about it when my book is done. I'm careful with what I talk about now because I'm still in the middle of finishing up these final chapters. Fleeing from horrible situations. You could not have told me that it would be years later that I would be able to write about some of those moments, some of the things my mom experienced even after we fled and went to another state. Some of the situations we went through, some of the things I went through personally as a child that I don't know if some of these things I've even talked about. All of the ups and downs, betrayals from friends, hardships in marriage, finances, you name it. You could not have told me as I was going through all of this that God had a wonderful, wonderful plan of one day pulling it all together and packaging it with this ribbon and this bow, so that it can be presented as a gift to give life and encouragement to other people. You couldn't have told me that. You couldn't have told me that I would be able to help so many marriages from all those classes I did. And I'm still close with so many of those women who to this day, in fact, I just had lunch or dinner with one of them, who to this day say, Z, I never knew that in situations like the situations that I'm in, that I still had power. And I never knew. I never knew that I still, in situations, could stand and could still grow and thrive, even when my marriage is not quite where I want it to be. Couldn't have told me that God would package it in such a way. There's an episode I did, I think it's episode number 58. Don't quote me on that. And I think it's called, Can You Handle the Pressure? You should go back and watch that, because that whole thing is about all these levels that we're trying to get to. Just be aware. There's a cost with all of that. Sometimes God is just preparing us. I couldn't have done this podcast, I'd say about 10 years ago. I wasn't ready. I still had that attitude of going off and cursing people out. If somebody upset me enough to get me to that level, I would just let it out. And I was leading Bible talk groups and things at that time. But I still had to go through some things to get to a certain point to where I can see the gift in all of it. That's a pretty powerful statement I just said. to where I can see the gift in all of it. So prior to doing this podcast, I was sitting in my other office, head down, crying out to God about my son, thinking through some other things in my life, a few things that are still not changed, pouring out my heart, but also praising him and thanking him and asking God to just use me. So many of you have paid the cost. Many of us are still paying the cost. But I think it's time that we start reaping the rewards and the benefits from it. And what that means to me is living our lives in a way that allows us to do great things, write those books, start those businesses, get those organizations off the ground. It is time that you start reaping the rewards and benefit from the cost you have paid, from the cost Jesus Christ has already paid for us. I'll say it like that. I think it's time that we start reaping the rewards by allowing God to package it in however way he gives it to you as a gift to be able to share with others. Okay? I love you all. I hope this message made sense. I really do. But anyway, love you guys. This is Z with Unlocking Greatness Podcast. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is Z with Unlocking Greatness Podcast. Please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification button. Love you all. Bye-bye.